you've been covering what's going on at the border crossings now for some years, and you've seen it firsthand. You've been to northern France. I wondered if you might tell me and listeners what you've experienced and where we are today with illegal border crossings.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have been going to France over a number of years, and I think that when you go there and when you speak to people, when you see this firsthand, you realize how the simple messaging that you often get from the smash the gangs or the other kind of stop the boats, it's very easy to use rhetoric, but you need to go and see it on the ground. So I went out there with Chris Philp. I think he was probably the first politician to actually go and see one of these places.
He's Conservative MP.
Yeah. And
Is he a shadow minister?
Shadow Home Secretary.
Shadow Home Secretary.
So, and he could grasp there. We went into a migrant camp. We were probably there about 15 minutes before someone walked past with a machete swinging it around. And as we left, were pelted with bottles. And you got a sense there of how the people who, like, firstly, France has kind of pushed these people into these camps who they have no idea, and they make no effort to know who the people are. And then it is just a kind of, they just go down to the beaches, get on dinghies and come over to the UK. But what I'd also say is I've followed each step of it. So I've gone from the camps, I've gone on the water, and seen exactly how it goes across. So you've got someone that's swinging around a machete in a camp that can go and get on a boat. And actually, I think it's important to talk about the process of how they actually get to there. So there'll be thousands of migrants all across northern France. They will have paid the traffickers and arranged to go and make crossings at various different points. They know that if they go down to the beaches, they have strength in numbers because all they have to do is get into the water and the French police will not stop them. So what will happen is you'll get kind of maybe 180 migrants that will just run on a beach. The police might do a bit of crowd control, but essentially all they have to do is get into water that's relatively shallow, and there'll be a boat picking them up. And once they're on that boat, the French will not intervene. It's essentially a kind of a trip all the way over. Our border force comes and picks them up.
Okay, so when you say that France is channeling these people to northern France, how are they channeling them? What do you mean by that?
So maybe channeling is the wrong word. It's more that they're kind of kettling them in the particular places. So there is a flow. The flow of migrant goes kind of from various different, through Turkey up the way around. They normally end up in Belgium. Now, in Belgium, if you go to Brussels, there would be an overwhelming number of people trying to claim asylum there. Oftentimes, they're rejected, at which point they normally go straight over to northern France. Now, when they get to northern France, and you go about places like Calais and Dunkirk, you'll notice huge groups of migrants. And the French police will sort of move them from one place to the other. So they'll put them on buses and, take them from Calais to Boulogne, or, Boulogne to Calais, or Dunkirk to Calais. But they're at no point trying to know who those people are. Because what they know is
they're not registering them.
Eventually, they'll make it across on the boat and they won't be their problem anymore.
Right, okay, I see. So they're actively doing that, even though we've got several deals with them to not do that.
Well, and I think...
When would you go there exactly?
Well, I normally would go over there several times over the course of the summer, which is when crossings are at their height.
Because the weather's best.
Yeah.
Right, so, but has things changed this year?
So...
is what you're describing what's been the case over the last few years, or is this is how it is now?
Oh, this has been the case for years.
Okay.
The camps move about from where they are, but actually what we're slipping back into is a mega camp, which is like the jungle that used to exist, which was broken up several years ago, and it kind of dispersed and became quite fractured, all the rest of it. But, this has been going on for years. I mean, and in terms of, there's always promises about the shifts in police tactics and all the rest of it. But essentially, there is an unwillingness in France to properly do the deal with Britain or to properly figure this out. And what you kind of get the impression is there's also a sense of like that they want to punish, you know, when Macron and Starmer stand up, Macron will bring up Brexit and go, oh, you wanted to stop illegal migration, it's gone up. And you go, well, hold on a second. If that's what the tone that's set, what then happens on the ground? What people maybe don't appreciate back home is the sheer chaos of it. This is a completely uncontrolled situation. And what I was mentioning earlier about the tip of the iceberg, the stuff that we see with the small boats is the tip of the trafficking iceberg. It's just the most obvious stuff. The stuff that when we see a bunch of people going on a dinghy across the channel, that's only a small proportion of all the other methods that there will be, you know. And look, there is focus on it because of that reason, but we shouldn't forget that there is, you know, trafficking in the same way as this, you know, horrible exploitation. It is a lucrative business that people make a lot of money from.
Yeah.
And people die, criminals get into the UK. It's one of the, you know, actually I was approached by an American and they said, I can't believe this is happening between France and Britain. This reminds me of what was going on what goes on in Colombia and Venezuela.
Yeah. And have you seen the British side of it? So when they are getting picked up in British waters and then it's Border Patrol are taking them in, what have you seen there?
Well, I mean, you could go out for yourself, jump in a fishing boat and just go to the middle of the channel. And if it is a good day for traveling, if you're with someone that understands where the boat's going to be, you'll probably see it yourself, which is a dinghy filled with people. And when you see these up close, you realize these are death traps. The people setting these things, they are ruthless in terms of
maximizing how many people are on them. Yeah.
And they'll be bobbing along, but they'll be escorted by a French vessel, you know, taking them across the water into British waters where, you know, and sometimes...
What do you mean they'll be escorted by a French vessel?
So because of the French law, they don't intervene. You know, the thing I was saying about they just need to get into the water. Once they get into the water, the approach, which has been the case for years, is that they will just follow at a safe distance, radio British Border Force and say, we've got a migrant boat. So it's essentially, and this is what blows my mind whenever I go out there, right? Which is, in any other situation, if you had a government that was helping traffickers, that was helping to traffic people across a border in a highly dangerous way, it would just... can you imagine the Mexican government taking, you know, tanks across the US border with a group of migrants and then just passing them over to US military? And then it's kind of mind-blowing, but that's what happens on the channel, you know, on a that's just what happens.
Zach, how much does it cost for these illegal immigrants coming across to get into the boats?
Yeah, so I think it's a really important point because every person that gets on a dinghy has normally paid between £1,000 and £3,000, right? So bear in mind that some of these boats have over 100 people. That could be, in the trafficker's pocket, 300 grand per boat. And you think about how many boats come across, you don't actually need that many. It's not a volume business for these traffickers.
Thanks for watching this clip from The Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.